Remember to like and subscribe.
Hey everybody, CyberMark here. Today we're going to go over level 3 of the cluster games. I'm really excited about this. I actually have the guide and the walkthrough from Wiz, so I'm learning a lot through this. I didn't know this stuff to begin with, but that's why it's really important to take the time to go through these kinds of exercises and read your output and get to learning, because this stuff is fantastic. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and read the clue. Image Inquisition. A pod's image holds more than just code. Dive deep into its ECR repository, inspect the image layers, and uncover the hidden secret. Remember, you are running inside of a compromised EKS pod. So that's going to be really important for us because that gives us a different context from which to operate. So I'll go ahead and pull this up. And we have the challenge here. So let's start out with a kubectl. Get pods. And right away we see we have an accounting pod right here. So let's go ahead and extract the contents of that. So let's do get pods on this specific one. So I'll highlight that, paste it in. And we're going to output that to JSON by doing a tac-o JSON. And what I like to do is pipe that to JQ so that I get the color code highlighting, right? And so we'll see here, if we scroll through our output and we take the time to read it, you'll notice that you have an image ID that we'll need for later, right? So in order to get that a little bit more clearly, let's go ahead and clear the screen, and we're just going to run that and pipe it to grep now for the string image. And I know you can use JQ to extract certain things, but since I'm new to this type of format here, I'm not sure what to put. So grep is reliable and trusty. So there we go. I have my image ID and I've recorded this for later that I'll need. All right. That being said, let's move on to the next part of this walkthrough. Okay. So next thing we're going to need to do is use the instance metadata service, right? So I know there's a version 1 and a version 2. You can read more about it. I'll put a link in the description, but we're going to be querying that, and it's at a special IP address. And so we're going to have a curl command that we use to do that. So I'm going to copy that here from my notes. Security, I only copied half of it. Security, credentials. All right, so when I do that, I end up getting a result back here that shows me a different type of role. So this is an EKS challenge cluster node group node instance role. So I'm going to use that to see what kind of credentials I have. Highlight that, paste that in. All right, so 2 different curl commands, one to get what the actual name of the role is, because we wouldn't know that beforehand, but we do know that we can use the security credentials listing there. So by doing that, we then see that we have an access key ID for AWS and a secret access key and a session token. So now we're going to leverage these in order to create a login for ECR, right? And the reason why we're able to curl this instance metadata service is because we're already running in a compromised pod, right? And so that's why we had that reminder here. Otherwise, you shouldn't be able to query that. That's a special use IP, non-routable, right? So I think Microsoft uses it for like some DHCP stuff, but here in AWS, it's used for the instance metadata service. Yep. And so going along with that, let's go ahead and leverage these credentials to log in, right? So what this should do is it'll resolve this curl here into the instance metadata service, and it'll take that JSON output and it'll store it in a variable called token. So let's go ahead and run that. Okay. And now let's just make sure it's stored. So we're going to echo $token. Great. And so we have all that data in there. Let's go ahead and export our values. So export our AWS secret, or no, let's go start with the access key. Key ID, and we're going to set that equal to the output of another command, right? So here we're going to leverage the token that we already stored. So we're going to echo our token. So echo $token. And because that's a JSON file, we're going to use JQ-R to extract a specific field in that. And the field we're interested in is the access key ID. Access key ID. Right, now hit enter, and it should have exported that, right? So let me echo out this token here, or my access key ID, right? And it should be that value, which it is. So we're going to repeat the same thing here using JQ for our secret access key. Right, so let's just clean up this command line a little bit. So our secret access key is going to be the same thing. So where we do secret access key. Right, so we'll hit enter on that. And again, let's echo it out to make sure it's stuck. So let's echo our secret access key. Oh, I should not have had ID on there. So if I echo that out, that's fine. But I need to reassign that one without the ID on there. That's not the environment variable it's looking for. So glad I caught that. Okay, so great. That one would have stuck. And now we're going to do the session token as well. So I'm going to go up here and do session token. And remember to change the variable, which I only did partially last time. And so this variable that it's looking for is the AWS session token. Okay, so we have our environment variable set, and we're going to use the AWS command line interface in order to get our ECR login, right? So what we're going to do is AWS ECR for Elastic Container Registry, get-login password. Okay, so when we do that, it's going to leverage these environment variables that we just set. And if I did it correctly, it should spit out the base64 encoded password that I need to authenticate. So I'm going to set that as an environment variable, and I'm going to say up arrow, store that as a variable. I'm going to call that variable password. Say password equals the result of that command, which I know will run. And so I hit enter, and I've stored another variable as it goes to get the login credentials for ECR. And now, using crane, like we used last time, I can do a crane auth, and I can log in, and this is where I'm going to need that ID, right? So let's go ahead and put a pin in that one, and let's do a Control R so I can search, and I'm going to look for where I looked for the word image. All right, so I hit that, and I have my image here, and so that's what I'm going to use to log in, right? So I need the actual ECR repository. So I'm going to do a crane auth login. Where am I logging into? So remember last time we logged into Docker. This time we're logging into the Elastic Container Registry, right? And so we're going to put that in there. So we'll do that. What we do need a username and password. So username is going to be AWS, and the -b for password is going to be our variable $password. Okay, so remember that $password is all of this base64 encoded stuff because we set that variable here in this line that I'm highlighting. All right, so now we're going to use Crane to authenticate and log in to this specific Elastic Container Registry with a username and password listed here. So let's do that. All right, so I'm logged in and I have a config.json file. So let's give it the whole value here. And this is where we need this image ID. Crane config on this image ID. And I didn't put a space, so that's all right. We can fix that. Great. So when we have this, sometimes this is hard for me to look at. And so what I have gotten into the habit of doing is I will now pipe everything to JQ because I like syntax highlighting. and restructured. It's like prettifies the JSON for me. So as I mentioned before, take the time to read all of the output. I love the super elite bin sleep command that was here. This is fantastic. But yeah, what happens here is when you have the YAML file that builds the image, every run command gets stored as history, right? And so this run command here had an artifact that had the token in it for authentication. So we have this artifactory token, Wiz EKS challenge, the history of container images could reveal the secrets of the future, right? And so that looks like our flag there. We'll copy that if it allows me to. Great. So Control C, pull my terminal down. Let's paste that in. And we have success. All right. So as I mentioned, I am fairly new to EKS and Kubernetes in general. So this was a big learning curve for me. I appreciate the team over at Wiz that provided the solution document so that we can all learn. Again, fantastic stuff. If you have questions, comments, I can do things better, please go ahead and leave that below. I welcome your feedback, and thanks for watching. Oh yeah, remember to like and subscribe and all that stuff. Get out there, try it for yourself. Thanks. Bye.